Hello, my name is Chris Meyer, and today I'm going to talk to you about employee monitoring in the workplace. To begin, I'm going to explain the workplace monitoring do's and don'ts. I'll begin with the workplace monitoring do's. Do devise a clear, well-written policy. You want a policy that outlines what employees can expect, what kind of monitoring there will be, where the monitoring will be, and when. If employees understand when, where, what, and why, they won't wonder and they'll be able to adjust their behavior accordingly. Do explain the why. You don't want employees to think that you have a sense of distrust for them. You want to explain that the monitoring is there to catch legal issues, viruses, losses of productivity, and etc. Explain to them that the monitoring is a positive thing. Say that we'll be able to see more times when you do something right, and we'll also be able to see issues before they arise. Do address social media. Explain the ethical use of social media and if acceptable in the workplace. You want employees to understand exactly what is allowed and what isn't allowed with social media use. Workplace monitoring don'ts. Don't completely restrict personal cell phone usage. It hasn't been found that personal cell phone use in the office is necessarily a bad thing. Now, you do want to restrict cell phone use on employees who need your full attention, such as drivers, truck drivers, or anyone else that needs their full attention. But you want to take this on a case-by-case basis. You want to restrict cell phone use as needed. Don't allow personal email use in the workplace. By not allowing personal email use, you keep yourself from getting personal viruses, spam, and etc. You also keep conversations on a minimum that don't have to do with work and that lead to drops in productivity. You also want to be careful to not improperly intrude on people's lives. Workplace monitoring can be great, but it could lead to issues if not done correctly. For example, you don't want to place video cameras in the restrooms, the locker rooms, or anywhere else that could be personally intruding. Now I'll explain the workplace monitoring advantages and disadvantages. To begin, I'll explain the workplace monitoring advantages. Employees try harder to do their best when they're being monitored. When employees know that their boss may be watching, on most cases, employees want to do better. They want their boss to see them doing better, and they don't want them to see them slacking off. Employers can also see problems before they start. If you have an employee that's visiting pornographic websites or sending sexually harassing things over their email or even through inter-office conversations, the employers can stop these types of issues before they become a legal issue. Employees are more able to clearly identify best and worst employees. By being able to see employee productivity and what their actions are, you can give constructive criticism or appreciative feedback in order to reinforce employees. This can also help with employee promotions, raises, and discipline. Top management is also able to monitor operations and customer satisfaction. Management can take phone calls and monitor them to ensure quality with customer interactions. They can also take the previous phone calls and use it for training. As Erin will discuss later, they can also use these trainings for employees that aren't doing as well. Now I'll explain the disadvantages of workplace monitoring. Again, employees can gain a sense of distrust with workplace monitoring. You want to counteract this sense of distrust with what I explained earlier. You want to explain the why to employees. If they understand why the monitoring is there and that it's not just catch them when they're doing something wrong, the employees are less likely to have a sense of distrust. Also, too many different types of monitoring may cause stress. If an employee is being monitored on their computer, their telephone, the keystrokes on their keyboard, and through video cameras, they may not know when Big Brother is always watching. This could lead to stress as they don't know when and what they're being monitored on. Monitoring is also an additional expense. But as I explained earlier, this expense can be looked at as an investment when it comes to workplace monitoring. Also, laws can be enacted that limit or restrict monitoring. You want to keep somebody on track and looking at the monitoring so that you don't have a policy that's legal one day and illegal the next. At this point, I'm going to turn the presentation over to my partner, Erin Cooper, so she can discuss the different types of monitoring in detail. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Erin Cooper. I'll be discussing the different types of monitoring that can be found in the workplace, starting with telephone, GPS, computer, website, email, smartphones, postal mail, social media, as well as video. Let's start with telephone monitoring first. Employers can monitor employee phone calls on the work phones to ensure quality and to see if they need to put their employee back into training. Federal law allows unannounced monitoring for business-related calls in most states. However, under federal case law, an employer must hang up as soon as they realize the employee is on a personal phone call. Let's talk about GPS and employee and employer-owned vehicles. Today, many employers are providing their employees with company-owned vehicles to use on trips or other short driving areas. Employers may use GPS devices to track employees in employer-owned vehicles. This prevents unethical or dishonest use of employer vehicles and resources. GPS in employee-owned vehicles is a slightly different story as the employees don't own these vehicles. In most states, employers may monitor the location of employees in employee-owned vehicles during work hours. However, in California and Texas, courts have ruled that placing a GPS device is unlawful without the consent of the owner first. Next, we'll talk about computer monitoring. Employees implement software that allows them to see employees' screens or stored files on their computer. Employers monitor the idle time on the terminal as to see if their employee has stepped away from the desk, and if so, for how long. Employers are legally allowed to view your desktop while you are working since they own the desktop you're working on. We also see this a lot in college as well, in classrooms that have computers built into our desks, or on the desk we have laptops. The teachers are able to see what we're looking at any point in time on her screen. It shows everyone's screen as a whole to make sure we're not looking at material that is not class related. Next, we'll discuss website monitoring. Employers can legally implement software to block connections to certain websites that could lead to policy violations and/or loss of productivity. This could be from anywhere to pornographic websites to just online shopping done during business hours. Next, let's discuss email monitoring. Employers may now monitor company email without notice. Email is permanently saved on magnetic tape or a company database. Many people think they can just erase the message or just erase their trash folder and that the email will be gone. There's no tracing it. That's false. It's always there. The employer can look up whenever they need to. And since the company emails are owned by the company, this allows the employee to read through the sent, received, or draft messages. Smartphones have also been being purchased for the employees at companies, which allows the employers to install apps on the company-owned smartphones that can secretly record text messages, emails, web usage, location, contacts, call logs, photos, videos, as well as voicemail. Next, we'll discuss postal mail. Employers may legally open an employee's personal mail addressed to the employer's company at the employer's address. So you don't want your boss to be receiving all of your Victoria's Secret coupons instead of getting to use them yourself. Social media is huge at this day and age. We use it every day mostly. Employers often implement policies which limit what may be posted on social media networking sites in relation to the company. There are a few states that prohibit employers from disciplining employees unless it is damaging to the company's reputation. So you don't want to go home from a bad day at work and start posting about how much you hate your boss and the place you work for on your Facebook page. Employers are also using social media to screen for potential employees before they interview them. This way they can see if someone's going out all the time and having a lot of drinks, then they think it's safe to assume that you're going to be coming in hungover every day, and they don't want that kind of person working for them. Last, we'll discuss video monitoring. This is mostly used for deterring theft, maintaining security, and monitoring employees. This can also be used to monitor employee productivity and prevent internal theft. So as I said earlier, if an employer sees that you're away from your desktop for a long time, they might check the video and see if you're walking around the office just talking to everyone instead of doing your work time, which is wasting company money. Some states have restrictions on where, how, and why an employer may videotape employees. The employer may not place video cameras in places that are physically invasive. Like Chris said earlier, you will not find a video camera in a restroom or a girls' locker room. So let's go ahead and wrap up everything we've been discussing today. Employee monitoring, as long as it's used correctly, can lead to a more effective workplace. Employers should research the different ways their workplace monitoring works and the ways it does not work, as to increase productivity. An ineffective use of workplace monitoring can counteract any of the advantages and send the company into a legal problem. Companies should realize companies should explain to their employees that workplace monitoring exists and that any digital information used at work is most likely monitored, as to not throw the employees off should something happen. Employees should take care when using the internet and email at work and only use their provided equipment in the manner the employer has intended. Thank you.